It was a cold December night in Washington, D.C. The streets were quiet, except for the low hum of traffic and the crunch of boots on ice. On the corner of Constitution Avenue, tucked against the stone walls of a building, sat a man most people ignored. Ragged coat, torn shoes, a face worn by years of struggle. A homeless black man holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Please help." But then, a patrol car pulled up. 2 officers stepped out. One of them looked down at the man, chuckled, and said loud enough for people to hear, "Another one of these bums. But he's never worked a day in his life." The man looked up slowly, his eyes steady, and then with trembling hands, he reached into his pocket. What he pulled out silenced the entire block. A black leather wallet. Inside, an ID badge. Not just any badge. A United States Supreme Court identification card. The officer froze. His smirk vanished. And the question that haunted everyone who saw it was this: how did a homeless man end up with credentials that tied him to the highest court in America? The story spread quickly, from whispers on the street to fiery debates on social media. Some said it had to be fake. Others swore they'd seen him before, walking confidently in a suit years ago. But who was this man? And what series of choices or betrayals brought him here? Let's rewind, because behind that cardboard sign was a story of brilliance, betrayal, and a system designed to bury him alive. His name was Marcus Reed, born in Baltimore in the late 1970s, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Marcus was no ordinary kid. Teachers described him as too curious for his own good. He devoured books that other students ignored, legal cases, history, philosophy. At 12 years old, he wrote an essay that shocked his entire school. The topic, Why Justice Fails the Poor, and he ended it with a line that stayed with him his whole life. If the law does not protect the powerless, it is not justice, it is theater. By high school, Marcus was winning debate competitions. By college, he had secured scholarships and a reputation as a rising star in law. He made it all the way to Harvard Law School. And by his early 30s, Marcus Reed was clerking at the United States Supreme Court. From the outside, it looked like he had made it. But inside, a storm was brewing. You see, Marcus wasn't just brilliant. He was stubborn. He refused to play by the unspoken rules. When other clerks stayed quiet, Marcus challenged justices with sharp, unflinching questions. When cases came across his desk, cases involving police brutality, corporate greed, or voting rights, he refused to tone down his language. One justice, caught on a hot mic, was heard saying, "That boy doesn't know his place." And that word, boy, cut deeper than any legal argument. Because Marcus knew what it meant. No matter his education, his suit, or his badge in their eyes, he was still just a black man who had gotten too far. And soon, the walls began to close in. First, small things. His name left off certain credits. His memos mysteriously misplaced. Invitations to key meetings that never reached him. Then larger things. Whispers about his attitude. Rumors he was difficult to work with. Finally, a confrontation that would change everything. Marcus had uncovered evidence that a major case, one involving a billion-dollar corporation, was being quietly influenced by political donations. When he brought it to his superior, the response was chilling. "Marcus, drop it, or you'll regret it." But Marcus didn't drop it. He couldn't, because the very essay he wrote as a boy, the one that warned about justice being theater, was coming true before his eyes. So he kept digging, and that's when his life unraveled. Within months, Marcus was accused of misconduct. False claims, convenient evidence. His badge was revoked, his career destroyed. One day he was walking into the Supreme Court. The next, he was walking out with a cardboard box. And soon after, bills piled up, job offers disappeared, friends distanced themselves. By 2017, Marcus Reed, the brilliant clerk once destined for greatness, was sleeping on park benches in D.C. But here's the twist. Even as he spiraled into homelessness, Marcus never let go of one thing. That Supreme Court ID card. It was the last piece of proof that his fight, his journey, his life had once mattered. And that brings us back to that December night, when the officer mocked him, when Marcus pulled out the badge. The silence that followed was heavy. Bystanders filmed the moment. The officer's smug grin twisted into shock. His partner whispered, "Is this real?" The badge was real. Marcus Reed's name was still there. But the story behind it, that was the part no one could laugh at. Because on that cold night, the world saw not a homeless man, but a broken system. A system that could take one of its brightest legal minds and cast him aside when he refused to play along. The video of that encounter went viral. Millions of views in days. Comment sections exploded. How does a Supreme Court clerk end up homeless? This proves the system eats its own. Where's the documentary on this man's life? And yet, when journalists tried to follow up, Marcus vanished. Some say he moved to another city. Others believe powerful forces made sure his story stayed buried. To this day, no one knows where Marcus Reed is. But one thing is certain. That badge, that single piece of leather and ink, became a mirror. For America to see itself. And the reflection was ugly. Studio microphone, narrator slows, voice heavy with meaning. Marcus's story is more than a scandal. It's a warning that brilliance without obedience can be punished. That justice without courage is theater. And that sometimes, the man you laugh at on the street might be the very one who once wrote the laws you live by. So the next time you pass someone struggling, remember Marcus Reed. Because behind every cardboard sign, there may be a truth powerful enough to shake the highest court in the land. Last time, we uncovered the shocking downfall of Marcus Reed, the brilliant Supreme Court clerk who rose from Baltimore's streets to America's highest court, only to be chewed up, silenced, and cast aside. We left off with a chilling image. Marcus, homeless on a cold D.C. night, holding up his Supreme Court ID while a mocking cop froze in his tracks. The video went viral. Millions of people demanded answers. But then, Marcus vanished. No trace, no interviews, no closure. Until now, because what came next was darker than anyone imagined. 4 weeks after the encounter, Marcus's face was everywhere. Cable news, podcasts, TikTok edits. Everyone wanted the homeless genius story. But here's the twist. While the public was fascinated, powerful institutions were furious. The court issued a statement. We cannot confirm the authenticity of this badge. But documents leaked online told a different story. Marcus Reed had, in fact, clerked for Justice Halvorson between 2006 and 2009. His work was real. His credentials were real. So why were they scrambling to erase his name? To find out, we tracked down people who once knew Marcus. A former law school classmate whispered, Marcus was too bold. He questioned everything. That's why they loved him at first, and why they destroyed him later. A retired clerk admitted off camera. He found things he wasn't supposed to find. When he refused to bury them, the hammer came down. And his mother, speaking for the first time in years, said through tears, My son always believed the truth was worth the cost. I just never thought the cost would be his life. The deeper journalists dug, the stranger things got. Marcus had left behind more than just his ID. Hidden inside an old locker in Union Station was a notebook. Inside were case numbers, scribbled notes, and cryptic warnings. One page read, They'll sell democracy for a price. And the receipt is written in silence. Another, If I disappear, look at case 08-1421. That case, buried in the archives. A voting rights case, quietly dismissed before it could reach full hearing. And the lawyer who argued against it, now a senator with ties to billion-dollar donors. The pieces began to connect. Marcus Reed hadn't just lost his job, he had been silenced. 6 months after the viral video, Marcus surfaced one last time. A blurry cell phone clip from a diner in Richmond, Virginia. He looked thinner, older, his once sharp eyes now guarded. The man recording asked, Marcus, what really happened at the court? Marcus gave a faint smile and said only this, Truth doesn't disappear. It waits. Then he stood up, walked out the door, and no one has seen him since. Today, Marcus Reed's fate remains a mystery. Some believe he's hiding, waiting for the right moment to release what he knows. Others fear he was silenced permanently. But every so often a rumor surfaces. A cryptic email sent to a journalist. A note slipped into a courthouse file. Always unsigned, but always ending with the same phrase Marcus once wrote as a boy. If the law does not protect the powerless, it is not justice. It is theater. So the question lingers. Is Marcus Reed still out there? Or did the system bury him deeper than we'll ever know? Marcus's story reminds us that truth doesn't always shine in the courtroom. Sometimes it's whispered in alleyways, hidden in notebooks, carried by those society throws away. And sometimes the very people we laugh at on the street are holding secrets powerful enough to shake the foundations of a nation. If this story left you questioning the system, backhand index pointing right, don't just watch. Share it. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe for the truth they don't want told. Backhand index pointing right and drop a comment. What do you think happened to Marcus Reed? Studio microphone, narrator, final pause. This isn't just a story about a man. This is the struggle.